back in February, I took a walk around the cacao, but I didn't cut it open. I didn't do anything and show the inside. So I had a bunch of people protesting. So this time I'm going to go ahead and pick a pod. We're going to cut it open and let you see it. There we go. Pretty, huh? Very pretty. I see my tree is in the process of blooming again too. These funny looking little guys right here, that's cacao flower. Isn't that cute? So let's see if we can get into this stuff. It's kind of like opening a squash. Not easy to do. Hear it popping. There you go. On one side. Let's move around the other here. Okay, got her. Woof. And that's what's inside one of the pods, huh? So I cut a couple of the seeds in the process, but by and large, this right here is your cocoa bean. They have a goop all over them that has a very unusual smell. It's oily a little bit. Probably use it for skin irritations, little cocoa butter stuff. Anyway, how about maybe we'll scrape these out and I'm going to show you what we do with them next if we're going to try to make some cocoa nibs. Welcome to my carport. Right here I have a plastic colander. In that plastic colander I have some cacao seed that I extracted yesterday, and I've had it fermenting in water in that colander over there. Colander is sealed on the bottom, the strainer's on the side of this one, so I'm able to ferment off the mucilage, which is one of the first things you're going to have to do if you want to make cocoa nibs out of these beans. So we take them, we put them in fresh water, maybe with a couple of changes of water, we let them sit till the gum on the outside of the bean starts to come off and ferment so that we can actually get a clean bean out of this. And so these are getting there. They've been here for about 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the rest of these that I have into the same colander. A few of them here I see that I damaged with the knife. Anyway, so I think just like that, the stuff pops out of here. Just like that. So I'm just going to drop them in here into the colander. I'm going to let them go. Oh, that stuff's got an odd smell. I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of edible type smell. Alright, here we go. More beans. It's a pretty simple process. Just trying to get them off of the fiber that's in here so I don't get all the junk from the pod in with the beans. I want mostly beans. There we go. Yeah, so we'll just let this work for a while. Microbes will help clean the mucilage off. Put them down here on the floor. Take a look here at the empty shell. See, like I say, it's like a squash almost. It's got a hard rind on the outside. Well, we harvested the pods, cut the pods in two, extracted the seeds, put them out to ferment. So now I have a beautifully fermented mess here. It smells like combination of beer, hand lotion, and chocolate. Whoa. There you go. Pretty ugly, huh? There you go. Got a whole pot full of fermenting, bubbling cacao beans. Now the next thing I'm going to do with these is wash them off. Okay, so I'll get myself some water running here. I'm going to agitate the seeds. Okay, so I've agitated the seeds and removed the water several times. Here we have floaters, and so the floaters are light. They're not filled out properly, so they're not going to be good beans. You want to discard anything that comes to the top. I go ahead and I'm going to exchange the water here one more time. They're getting pretty good looking here. I'm going to go ahead and give them one more agitation. Just put a little bit of water down in there with the beans and then use my hand to kind of mash the beans together to try to remove whatever is hanging on them at this point. A little bit of the mucilage on the bean isn't going to matter any because we cracked the husk off the outside after drying anyway. So just want them fairly clean. There we go. That looks good. Okay, there we go. Nice clean beans. Next thing, you'll find a place to spread them out to dry. Well, I've chosen a nice clean dry spot on my lanai. People off island would call this a porch. And I've swept off the floor out here so the concrete's nice and clean. Now I'm going to go spread the beans out across the floor. Well, that's it for the meantime. I'll come back later on this afternoon after the extra water's dried up and push them around, get them off the wet spots. It takes about 2-3 days out here to get them nice and dry. So we're getting pretty close to toasting. So, continuing right along, now that we have grown our cacao, extracted the beans from the pod, fermented the beans for a while to get the mucilage off the outside, and then laid the beans out in the sun to dry. Once they're dry, which is what we have right here, dried cacao beans, I have spread them out nicely on top of a cookie sheet. I'm going to put them in the oven. I'm going to start with the oven at 325 degrees. I'm going to go 10 minutes at 325 to make sure that the inside of the bean hits about 300 degrees. And then at that point, I'm going to turn it down. We're going to go about another 20 minutes or so at 250. We're going to finish the roasting process at a little bit lower temperature so we don't burn the bean. We'll know that it's done when the skin on the outside of the bean starts to pop. So here we go. I'm going to take the beans and I'm going to place them. Take our beans and put them inside the oven. 350. I have in here already a tray of beans that's been roasting. I'm going to take them out and let them cool for a minute so we can deal with them. And I'm going to go ahead and set the timer here for 10 minutes. Okay, well, these are beginning to pop in here, so we've reached the desirable temperature. And I'm going to take the timer and set the timer for another 10 minutes. And I'm going to take the oven and reduce it down to 250. So once your beans are roasted and cooled down, you want to try to cool them rapidly because the shells come off of them a lot easier when they've been rapidly cooled. One of the problems you may have is that sometimes the beans inside just want to crumble when you agitate them to get the shell off. There's a papery husk on the outside here. Like this, see, right here is the papery husk, and right there is the bean. So that's the part we want. It works pretty well. Take one crushed thing over your hand, like so. Hold on to the shell in one hand, and the nibs fall. Okay, so we have roasted the beans, and we have crushed them mostly into nibs. Some of them are still pretty much intact beans, others are fragments of beans. And now we're going to attempt to try to get the chaff off. We were careful when we were going through here, trying not to get the hulls in. Mostly though, I just went through and kind of crushed this stuff. And so now, there's numerous ways. You could use the trade wind to blow away the hulls. I could do and hyperventilate and fall over blue and cover it with bacteria and saliva. Or we could have Ellen turn on the blow dryer on setting number 1, which is low. And I can pick the beans up like this, kind of drop them, and most of the light stuff, I don't get too close to it, most of the light stuff, which is the shells, will blow away if you do this gently and carefully. I'm good with that. Now that we have sufficiently winnowed the chaff from the nibs, I'm going to take the cocoa beans and the cocoa nibs here, and I'm going to put them into a standard home coffee grinder. And we're going to give them a buzz. Perfect. Here you can see we have a really, really nice, finely ground cocoa powder here. You don't want to grind this too long so it gets hot, because if it gets hot you're going to end up getting the cocoa butter to run out, and then it'll turn into kind of a dough, alrighty, because it's oily. There's a lot of oil in the cocoa bean. So here I have a cup. I put about 2 spoonfuls of raw Maui sugar in there. To that I am going to add about 3 spoonfuls of the ground cacao beans. To it, I'm going to add a little bit of warm milk. I'm going to work the mixture together first. Add a little bit of heat to it. That emulsified things nicely, so melt it together. Finish it off by adding enough milk. Oh man. Oh man, it doesn't get any better than that. Man, this is delicious. Toast to homegrown cacao. Happy gardening. It's so fresh.